This is a guide for a leveling build for the Ranger in Guild Wars 2. This is a guide for a leveling build for the Ranger in Guild Wars 2. In it, I'm going to show you what to build so that we can speed up the leveling process and get to 80 faster. So, why pick a Ranger? Ranger has a good mix of both ranged and melee weapons, such as the greatsword, longbow, shortbow, dagger, axe, full range. They also have a pet to help with leveling. It can help with tanking damage, dealing damage, healing, supporting you. It has a wide utility of things it can do. It's also a great starting class because of this pet, and it's got a very one-track gameplay. Very simple, very easy to pick up and use. So, the class mechanic for the Ranger is the pet. You pick an animal at the start of the game of 3, and then while you're playing, you find juvenile animals that you can then use and take with you, and you can pick between them. So for this guide, and for the build, you're going to want to take one of the bear class pets. They tank the damage, they're the best at tanking, and they also draw aggro away from you, because you are the main damage dealer. So of the pets, I have listed what they look like, and their active ability, which you can use as you want. So they are the Arctodus, black bear, brown bear, Morello, and polar bear. I would personally take the brown bear because of the condition clear, but it's up to you. Now for the gear. You want to aim for power, then precision, then ferocity, then focus on any other stats. This increases our damage, so we spend less time actually killing things. Now the weapons. You're going to want to take axe, warhorn, and then greatsword. If you need a ranged weapon, axe is semi-range. It's got a very, 900 range, or 600, whereas longbow is 1,200, so it's a lot further. But axe and warhorn and then greatsword is really good. So why pick these weapons? The axe auto attack is a ranged attack that bounces to multiple enemies and gives you might per enemy struck. The number 2 skill on the axe throws out multiple axes in a conical shape, and they bleed enemies that they hit. You can hit multiple axes on the same foe for more stacks of bleed. The number 5 skill on the warhorn grants swiftness, fury, and might to all allies, including you and your pet. Now onto the greatsword. The number 3 skill is a mobility skill for running around. It's got 2 parts. The first part is the leap, and the second part is when you run straight after the leap. So it can be used to jump gaps of the leap, but you've got to be careful about the run, pushing you over the edge. The 4th skill on the greatsword is a block. If something hits during the block, you then counterattack for a lot of damage. Otherwise, I recommend staying in the axe for other than the 3 and the 4 on the greatsword, and occasionally the 5, which is some CC. Now for the heal skill. You want to take Troll or Ungent. It regenerates health, both you and your pet, over 10 seconds. It's a very powerful regeneration ability, but it doesn't heal a large amount immediately like the others, even though you do get more health over time. Utility skills. You're going to want to take Signet of the Hunt, which increases movement speed passively and deals more damage on the active. You don't want to really use it, but you can if you want to get some nice damage off when you're in a big fight. Also, Quickening Zephyr. You and your pet both gain quickness, which increases your attack speed by 50%. And then Lightning Reflexes, which is a stun break, and you dodge backwards and gain Vigor. It says Visor, but it should say Vigor. And as I said, it works as a stun break. Onto your elite skill. You want to take Entangle. It's an AoE immobilization, and it also applies 5 stacks of bleeds. It can be used on large groups to deal damage to them, although it will only hit 5 targets. Onto the traits. First one we're going to take is Marksmanship. We want to take Opening Strike, which will cause vulnerability on your first attack. Enlargement, which uses the Signet of the Wild, which will increase your size when you fall below half health. Alpha Training, where pets also have Opening Strike, like the first minor. Steady Focus, where damage is increased when Endurance, your dodging ability, is full. Precise Strikes, which means Opening Strikes will always crit. Remorseless, where you refresh Opening Strikes when you gain Fury. Now onto Beast Mastery, which is the second one we're going to take. We want Pack Alpha, where your pet is stronger. Companion's Might, Critical hits give might to your pet, and your pet's critical hits will bleed the target. Loud whistle. When near full health, your pet will deal increased damage. I think it's 90%. Above 90% is when it says it's near full health. Two-handed training. Your greatsword has a chance to apply fury and deals more damage. Even though we're not going to be using greatsword that much, you might want to do it now and then. Pet's prowess. Pets move faster and have increased critical hit damage. It's nice for your pet, even though they won't be doing too much damage. And then honed axes. Increase critical hit damage or ferocity while using the axe. And your axe number 3, Winter's Bite, is now an AoE skill. Lastly, we're going to take skirmishing. First we want Tailwind, which will gain swiftness when swapping weapons in combat. Sharpened Edges, a chance to cause bleed on critical hits. Furious Grip, where we gain fury when swapping weapons in combat. Spotter, this is a big one for group combat, but it affects both you and your pet, which is nice. It increases the precision of allies. Hunter's Tactics, where you increase critical chance when flanking enemies, which means that you're hitting them from behind or from the sides. And then Most Dangerous Game. Gain might while below half health. It's a refreshing ability, I think it's every couple of seconds. Now on to some tips and tricks about the Ranger. For the pet to take aggro, first you want to use your F1 to get the pet to attack your target first, and then you focus on attacking them. This is very important, and you're going to need to learn how to juggle your pet's abilities along with yours. But while you're leveling, that's not too important. But as you get further and further into game, it gets hard. If you're struggling with getting your pet to attack, switch Honed Axes in the Beast Mastery line to Beastly Warden, so that your F2, your pet's ability, will taunt foes and they'll attack the pet first instead. This just makes it easier to get used to stuff, and I actually prefer it sometimes if I'm quite weak. If you're dodging a lot, you want to swap Most Dangerous Game in the skirmishing line for Light on your feet, which means you'll deal more damage when your endurance isn't full. For a long-range weapon, if you need it, as I said earlier, use a longbow instead of a shortbow. Shortbow is more condition-based, while a longbow is power-based weapon, like we usually use. Alright, that's the guide. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.